But before I do it, I have disclaimers. Please do not come argue with me about if AA is a cult or not. I'm not saying that it's a cult. I'm saying that it has certain cult-like tendencies, abusive and controlling tendencies that should be acknowledged. And second of all, if you had a good experience with AA or never experienced anything like this, that's awesome, but please keep in mind that experiences vary depending on location and group. So I read this book, Alcoholics Anonymous, Culture Cure. So I think the first thing you need to know is some background, which is that AA branched off of something called the Oxford Group, which was founded by Frank Buchman. And Frank Buchman was a evangelist Christian who originally started a church and then an Oxford Group, and then it later became called the Moral Rearmament Movement. This guy was definitely the cult leader type. He was trying to make money, become powerful. He was very abusive and coercive with his group members. He believed that fear, selfishness, and lack of a relationship with God were the root of all human problems. And then Bill and Dr. Bob met and decided to apply that to treating alcoholism, and that's how AA branched off from the Oxford Group. All right. AA Cult Traits Part 2. So the main things that I think are culty about AA is that groupthink is encouraged. There's a very black and white dogmatic doctrine that everyone is supposed to fully internalize and believe, and there are different pressures and techniques used to discourage people from challenging or questioning that doctrine. You have to accept that you are an alcoholic and that you will always be an alcoholic and never be able to drink again. There's no room for questioning there. You have to accept that a higher power is what will keep you sober or restore you to sanity. The 12 steps don't present themselves as an option. They present themselves as the solution. And it even says in the literature that the only people who fail are people who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves and were just born that way. There's a lot of fear tactics that are used to prevent people from questioning or leaving. You'll be told if you ever are questioning whether or not you need the program, it's your inner addict just trying to get you to drink again. And they also love to say that anyone who leaves AA ends up dead, insane, or in jail. All right, for part 3 on AA and cult behavior, let's actually go through the BITE model and talk about the different forms of control and brainwashing and how they apply to AA. One of the main forms of behavior control that I saw in AA was controlling people's medication. People in AA generally believe that you should not be on Suboxone or any medically assisted detox drugs. And a lot of people in AA actually are also against psychiatric drugs and will tell people to go off of their antidepressants, which is very dangerous. Definitely number 9, major time being spent with indoctrination. New people are usually told to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, call their sponsor every day, read the big book every night, have a lot of their time filled up with service commitments. It's a huge time commitment. And people are often even told you should never say no when asked to do something in AA. You should never put anything before AA. Definitely number 13, discouraging individualism and encouraging groupthink. And I would say number 18, encouraging dependence and helplessness by telling people they have to do it for the rest of their lives or they'll die. All right, for part 3. All right, let's keep going with the BITE model in AA. This one is information control, and I honestly don't see a lot of this in AA except some weird practices with confession through the 5th step and encouraging telling on yourself and never keeping secrets and stuff like that. Okay, this is where it gets juicy, thought control. Almost all of these I have seen in AA, a lot. Number 3 is use of loaded language and cliches, which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords. Keep it simple, stupid. Your best thinking got you here. You have a thinking problem, not a drinking problem. It works if you work it. Those are all examples of thought-stopping slogans that are meant to make you not trust yourself and stop any questioning or doubting. Definitely major rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. You are not allowed to bring legitimate questions about the lack of scientific evidence and the new evidence that actually makes a lot more sense. That is completely not allowed in AA. And you're not even allowed to use any other literature besides AA, which I guess is information control. All right, the kind of controlling and culty tactics that I actually see the most in AA is emotional control. There is a ton of telling people in AA that they are self-centered, selfish, and self-obsessed, and shaming any feelings of resentment or jealousy or any painful emotion is considered self-pity. Definitely number 3, making the person feel like their problem is always their fault. That's a big thing with the inventory process and finding your part in a 4th and 5th step, and people will often be blamed and forced to find their part in things that they absolutely should not have to find a part in. It's also repeated throughout the AA literature and meetings that if you're ever upset by something or upset at someone, it's your fault and you need to find your part in that. There is definitely instilled fear of leaving the group or going to the outside world. People are scared to leave AA because of being shunned, socially isolated, and bullied or shamed by the group. And then also phobia indoctrination, so making people scared to ever leave because they're told that they will be dead, insane, or in jail if they ever leave. A lot of the very shaming language lowers people's self-esteem and reinforces guilt and shame. The kind of controlling